So why do some people make it and some people don't? Why do some people make it really big and some people won't? Matter of fact, most people won't. Well, number one, most people don't necessarily want to make it big or want to make it at a certain level. But if they do, what is it that holds people back? We're going to explore that conversation today.
Actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you.
Hi, my name is JamesAdlam, and welcome to this community. I encourage you to join this community because we are focusing on growth, growing ourselves, moving life forward, being able to achieve measurable progress in reasonable time. If you get any value out of what we talk about today, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notifications so that you can be alerted, because we're releasing content on a regular basis, and the entire thrust of it is such that we have a better life. And I want to talk to you about that today. So there's a book by a woman by the name of Carol Dweck, and it's called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. And in this book, there's a completely different way of looking at how we grow and how we develop. So there's two different thinkings. One is the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. And I think as I go through this, everybody is going to be able to relate to this. So here's the fixed mindset. It's the belief that your success is based on intelligence or talent or abilities that aren't changeable, right? So for instance, if you have a very high IQ, some people just have a very high IQ. So people with a fixed mindset believe, well, they can't be successful because they don't have that very high IQ, right? So what they'll try and do more than anything else is to avoid challenges because they don't want to deal with failure. And they'll easily give up because they don't want to experience things that are difficult. When the obstacles come, they view their effort as inadequate because they're not as strong as that person. They're not as smart as that person. And they don't like anything that's a form of constructive feedback because they feel threatened by other people's success. Do you know people that are really intimidated by other people's success? Like whether it's a promotion at work, financial success, celebrity status, whatever that is. These are people that she outlines have a fixed mindset. And I think we all know these people because maybe some of us have been these people. Maybe some of us are these people. But here's the problem with a fixed mindset. You're limited. You're limited because you think that there are forces that are outside of your control, and these external forces are the reason why you will and you won't make it. And you're measuring yourself against this way of thinking. And when you measure yourself that way, you almost never win. So when things get difficult, they don't have a perseverance mentality. It's kind of like, well, why should I even try? I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. That's one mindset. But then there's a growth mindset. Now, the growth mindset is something that a lot of people don't realize. The concept is this. The concept is that your intelligence, your talent, your abilities can be developed. Now, think about this. Imagine a newborn baby, and we're like, you're little, you don't know how to talk, you're pretty much useless to society. We're just going to leave you there. You taught your children how to walk. You taught them how to read. You taught them how to communicate. You see, when we look at babies, we see nothing but growth organisms. Like all they do is grow. But for some reason, when we become adults, we have this feeling like we can't grow. But people with a growth mindset, they believe that through effort, through intentional behavior, through a willingness to grow and learn new things, that they can achieve almost anything. I was looking at this interview with Elon Musk, and they were asking him about space and SpaceX and Starlink and all the things he's doing. And he talked about how he knew nothing about building rockets, nothing. But he read books about building rockets over a summer. And now SpaceX, doing things that no one's ever seen before, things that NASA hasn't been able to do, when they returned the rocket back. Things that are unbelievable. Why? Well, he believed that whatever he wants to learn, he can learn. When you have a growth mindset, you embrace challenges because you know that the opportunities come from the challenges. When you have a growth mindset, you want feedback. You want to be around people that are better than you, more successful than you, because you believe that they have something to deposit into you. You see, the growth mindset has to have tremendous humility because you understand that you're a continuous learner. When you have a growth mindset, you look at yourself like a project. Imagine, have you ever been in an area where you've seen a house that is being built and you look at that, it's just a big old hole. It's a big hole and heavy cranes. Then you drive, a few weeks later you come back, you see framing. You're like, wow, they're building a house quick. Then you come back again and you see the Tyvek thing that's on the side of them. And then like in no time at all, house. You didn't see the whole process of it. You just saw that thing in stages. When you weren't there, you weren't seeing the builders, you weren't seeing the people laying the foundation, laying the concrete, laying the electrical, laying the plumbing. You just saw pictures. But while you weren't there, there was movement and activity. What if you could be that way? You see, other people may look at your life in stages of a photograph, but you're a motion picture. So what if you were able to look at yourself as a project that can evolve, that you can evolve your health? You see, if you say things like, oh, well, you know, my mother had this and my father had this and my grandmother had this, it's hereditary. Okay, but what if it's not? What if it just is that you won't do the necessary thing in order to grow? What if, I'm not saying it's true, but what if? What if there isn't any position that you can't go for if you're willing to grow for it? What if? What if there are people that you work with that you say, well, you know, I don't have that degree. I won't even try. But somebody else says, I don't have that degree. Either A, I'm going to go get that degree, or B, I'm going to prove so useful and so productive in this company that the paperwork won't even matter. I'm going to force them to promote me. What if? You see, the difference in the behaviors, if you don't believe that anything you do is going to really change how you live, then you're stuck. You know, people who are growth-minded are the ones who rule the world. So I used to live in Newark, New Jersey. The part that I lived in, man, there was crime everywhere. There was drug dealing everywhere. Everything was everywhere. It was just, you know, it was crazy. And one of the things I realized now that I'm older and I can like verbalize these things was I was in a community that had a fixed mindset. They never thought they were going anywhere. This is it. And when people don't feel that they're growing anywhere and they resign themselves to that, this is it, let me tell you something. I believe people become dangerous. I do. I believe that there's great danger when you don't feel you have any access to new opportunities. That's what I feel. Now, whether it's true or not, it's really a way of thinking. But there are some people that are so fixed in their thinking that they become angry that there's no growth. They don't realize that there are books, there's YouTube videos, there's things that you can do to have this thing called brain plasticity. You see, your brain, like any other muscle in your body, has the ability to grow new neurons, to download new data. You have the most incredible supercomputer in the history of the world sitting in your head. However, most people will do absolutely nothing with it except watch programs of other people who are doing something with their brain capacity. You see, your mindset can shift if you're willing to engage in personal development. What does that mean? It means you have to intentionally give new data to this. You have to say, I refuse to believe that this is the best that I got. I have to have more. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to find the video. I'm going to find the mentorship. Whatever I've got to do, I'm going to go do it because I know that there's more. And as you begin to take on new energy towards your new goal, what's going to end up happening for you is you're going to begin to change. Your brain is going to say, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. We're learning something new. We're excited about this. Have you ever learned something new and you're excited about it? And you were so excited you told somebody else about it like as if you've known it the entire time? You see, that's what happens. When we are willing to take on ourselves and believe that our brains can develop we can learn new languages, we can learn new skills. The moment you know that you can learn new, there's hope. You see, the moment you believe that you can learn new, there is hope. The moment you think that this is what you got, there's no hope. There was a guy that I used to live in Philly. Later on, I moved to Philadelphia. And one day I'm going to this house and I go down to this basement. Man, I see the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life. I mean, still to this day. Probably if I went to the home of some professional athlete, I might see like the TV that has all the TVs and the wall. I get maybe. But to this day, that was the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life. It was huge. And so I said to the owner, I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life. He's like, yeah, you like it? And I'm thinking, why do you have such a big TV? Now, you have to realize, I was in the hood of Philly, okay? The house was maybe like $30,000 back then. Maybe. It was about $30,000. The TV was like $5,000. Now, you have to realize, the TV was about 1/6 the house in the basement. So I'm sitting there and it hit me. I'm talking to this man and he's breaking down the TV. He's all excited about it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, he bought this $5,000 TV and put it in the $30,000 house because he doesn't think he's ever leaving. This is where he is. He's not going anywhere. Now, maybe he's happy with that. Maybe. But I remember leaving there thinking to myself, man, what if you never believed that there was more for you? Limited mindset, growth mindset. What's your mindset? Do you believe you could be healthier tomorrow than you are today? Or do you believe, your mother was overweight, your dad was overweight, this person had heart problems, this person had this? Do you believe that? So do you believe that's your station in life? Do you believe that the position you have right now, that's the only position available? It's as far as you can go. There's nothing else you can do. This is it. So what you got? One of the arguments against minimum wage being raised, I don't know what it is right now, but there was an argument I heard about minimum wage being raised. And let's say it went from, I don't know, $12 to $20, as an example. I don't know what it is. But I heard this economist say something really powerful. He said, the fight for minimum wage being raised is the acknowledgement that you're not leaving. I thought to myself, yeah, but if you're there, shouldn't you try and make as much as possible? That's what I'm thinking. Interestingly enough, my thinking landed on the host of the show who's talking to this economist. And he said minimum wage was always supposed to be the minimum. It was supposed to be a starting point from which you begin your rise. He's like, but when you're fighting for more of the minimum, you're not giving yourself permission to rise. That was a different perspective. Are you growth minded or are you not? What is your perspective of your life? How are you looking at your life? Are you looking at your life as a project? Are you looking at your life as a project in which you're making conscious choices? That you know that with conscious thinking, you can move your life in a totally amazing direction? Or are you like, this is it. This is what I got. I'm fixed. I'm stuck. This is what it is. Because if you take on that mentality, you lose hope. If you're around people who have that mentality, they lose hope. People with no hope for a long period of time, they become dangerous. Where's your mentality? Are you growth-minded or are you fixed-minded? Do you have a fixed mindset or do you believe there's more?
If you actually took time to learn about how incredible you were, nothing would ever stop you. See, the definition of sight is the faculty or power of seeing.